Good morning, viewers, and welcome to the Now Streaming Show. I am your host, Somthochukwu Okizu. Thank you for joining me this beautiful Tuesday morning. With me in the studio are Mr. Onye Umejiburu, a political and public policy strategist. And also with us in the studio is Mr. Obina Oduche, who is a political analyst. Thank you so much for joining us this morning.
Thank you very much. It's a pleasure.
Thank you. This morning we begin with a moment of solemn reflection. Nigeria has lost one of her spiritual giants. Reverend Dr. Umokbai has passed away at the age of 80. A preacher whose ministry touched many lives across generations, a faithful servant and mentor. His life's work leaves a powerful legacy. We will share a tribute, reflect on his impact, and hear from those who knew him. But as we mourn, life marches on. And today's headlines carry weight in education and national progress. The Academic Staff Union of the Universities, ASU, has launched a 2-week warning strike across public universities nationwide. This action comes amid unresolved demands and rising tensions between the union and the federal government, which has sworn it will enforce the no work, no pay policy. These consequences are already being felt. Exams are disrupted in many institutions, students are disoriented, and the academic calendar is under threat. So this morning, we will explore both celebrate the life of Dr. Umokbai, and analyze the unfolding ASU strike with other of Nigerians' problems, its causes, its effects, and what it means for students in the universities and the future of education in our nation. We will speak with our guests, analysts, and also invite you, our viewers, to share your thoughts. Stay with us, it's going to be a meaningful show. And this morning we'll be starting with some of the Nigerian dailies that came in this morning, beginning with the Nigeria Tribune. And the major story we'll have on it this morning, it says NAS proposes November 2026 for 2027 presidential and governorship polls. This story we can find on page 16. And beside the picture story there, we have government and traditional rulers push for constitutional recognition of traditional institutions. This we can find on page 3. And just below that, we have the federal government raises alarm over terror, financing, and smuggling. This story we can find on page 4 of the Nigeria Tribune. And lastly, on health, we have drinking soft drinks may fuel depression, particularly in women. This is a study, and that story can be found on page 5. Moving on, we have the Guardian newspaper this morning with the OP winning the Buffy Awards. It says OP emerges as the only fintech with 3 wins at the 2025 Buffy Awards. And just below that, we have 72.64% of Nigeria's petrol imported amid rivalry from new refineries. The story we can find on page 6. And that is all we can take on the Guardian newspaper. And moving on to the Punch newspaper, we have a story on ASU which we can find on page 2. It says ASU strike grounds universities, FG clamps down. This story can be found on page 2 on the Punch newspaper. And then the major story we have on the Punch, it says 2027 opposition splits over NAS polls shift plan. This story can also be found on page 2 of the Punch newspaper. And moving on, we have the Vanguard newspaper, which it's something we all Nigerians will be looking out for today. It's the major story we have on the Vanguard newspaper says do or die clash. 3 themes, 1 chance. This story we can find on pages 6 and pages 7 of the Vanguard newspaper, and that is all we'll be able to take this morning. And I would really love us to begin on the notes of the World Cup qualification for Nigeria, and I would want to know if we are interested in football. I don't know if you watch football.
Unfortunately, I don't know much about football.
How about you, Mr. Odiche?
Oh, I watch football.
Okay.
Especially when Nigeria is playing.
Oh, patriotism has
Yes,
to come
I love watching Nigeria, and I love my country, especially my team, Super Eagles. But what is happening these days is sending cold waves on all our system.
So directing this question at you, are your hopes high that Nigeria stands a chance to qualify for the World Cup come 2026?
As it stands today, I've given up, because we're in Nigeria, we always believe in fire brigade approach at the dying minute. This is 6 teams competing for one position, and they have been playing for this qualification long ago. We had played so many games and we messed up in most of the games we are supposed to win. And at this dying minute, we are doing permutation and computation. It doesn't work in football. The situation we found ourselves is that we are praying for Rwanda to defeat South Africa.
Which is almost impossible.
So that we'll play against them or something?
No, we are praying. The last match is coming today by 5 p.m. So as Nigeria is playing Benin Republic, Rwanda will be playing South Africa.
Okay.
Was it South Africa? Yes. Rwanda will be playing South Africa. So now we are praying that Rwanda defeats South Africa, so that Nigeria will defeat Benin and qualify. Now, and South Africa will not keep calm and fold their hands and allow Rwanda to defeat them. And I think they are playing in South Africa too, to defeat them in their own soil. So it is a dicey situation, and I don't think that we are supposed to continue to do permutation when it comes to qualification of World Cup and African Cup of Nations. The simple truth is that our NFF, they are biased. They don't go to the fight, they don't go to the field, to the competition with our best. They go to that competition with the people that have got mouth, the people that have got legs. We have the best.
Yeah.
Let me tell you, only Abuja, only Kabusa will give us a team that no team can defeat in the world. Just go for a check or a trail of players in Kabusa. Only Kabusa. Yes. If you scout for players in Kabusa, they will give us a team that will defeat the whole world. Okay. And you know what happens? When you watch the training of the process of training and selection of our teams, you will see the best people that are playing on that training. But at the end of the day, you will not see them because they don't have people to speak for them.
All right. Thank you,
There's
sir.
no patriotism when it comes to Nigeria. In everything, our NFF don't care whether we lose or we win. They are interested in making the money. FIFA gave Nigeria $1 million for the preparation of this World Cup.
Oh.
Their interest is to pocket it.
Thank you so much for that. We all hope. Let's see what today holds. Although the trust and hope that Nigeria will come out victorious is
another thing I want to tell you is that 2 things. If Nigeria loses or wins today and South Africa wins, South Africa will proceed. If Nigeria wins, we'll be second. Being that second, we are not even qualified for the playoffs because there are second best, I think 4 teams. 4 second best teams will qualify for playoffs that will bring out one more team. We are not qualified because our point is not up to 19 points. About 4 teams have got 19 points.
Interesting. All right. Thank you so much. So viewers, please, you can also be a part of our conversation this morning. You could call in with the numbers showing on your screen or send in your comment through our social media platforms. Coming to you, there is a story that also caught my attention here in this Nigeria Tribune. It says government and traditional rulers push for constitutional recognition of traditional institutions. And I remember while growing up, probably in the northern part of Nigeria, I realized that traditional rulers like the emirs are highly respected. In most cases then, I can't vouch about now, in most cases then, they tend to even listen to the words of their emir than the words of the governor. And as life progresses, now we're seeing that the traditional rulers are now trying to see how they can now be recognized constitutionally. Do you think there was a point we actually got it wrong, or what are your thoughts on that?
Basically, if ceteris paribus, if all things are equal, I don't think a traditional ruler requires any
Constitution.
So statutorily, what happens is that these people are, as you call them, traditional rulers. They are just meant to be venerated. They are meant to be respected. Their words actually are supposed to hold still. Do you understand?
Yeah.
They are supposed to be people of truth and understanding. But getting them into the secular political situation in Nigeria will worsen the position. They will now start contesting for it the way they contest for governorship and House of Rep. It will become more bloody. Before now, the monarchical system that was pre-existing had people, they had families that were known to be royals.
Yes.
But they have distorted the whole process. So once anybody makes money, he goes back to his village and starts contesting. And with that ideology, if you now put constitutional backing to them, it will become tyrannical. It will now start working against some basic understanding of the Nigerian constitution. Bringing them in will require a lot of amendment, because you have now limited the powers of even the local government chairman or the governors to the grassroots arrangement. Do you understand?
Yes.
That will cause more chaos. It's not what we need now. Okay, so what we need is that we first of all stop the political arrangement around the traditional thing. Why they are now looking for it is that because they are finding out that governors no longer respect them.
Yeah.
That's why a governor can wake up and send an emir going, or send an igwe out of his, and revoke his certificate.
Yeah.
But if our leaders, politicians, are being respectful like we used to have them back then, I don't think any igwe wants to get involved. That's a very secret position, actually. It's just that, you understand, we're no longer in the traditional era. The igwe is not supposed to be joining you with all those political stuff. They're supposed to be in their palaces and have a quiet... and their position is also of an advantage to government for grassroots mobilization and grassroots information. But when they join the political class, we distort a lot of issues. We have issues there.
So, Mr. Obinna, what is your take on this? Being an Igbo man, so just imagine, for example, I am from Newi. So imagine the Igwe of Newi now asking for constitutional recognition in his kingdom. Do you think it's a good idea, or do you think our traditional rulers has actually lost it, wanting to now be seen in the political sphere?
That shows, the statement shows that they have already lost it. They are no longer doing what they are expected to do. Traditional rulers don't need government legislative backings before they function. They have their respect and they have their status. When things go wrong in any community, with the help of the traditional ruler, you can sort it out. Traditional ruler is who God has given the power to rule over people. And the people traditionally. And people are bound to respect him. They respect him. Whatever he says is final. So that was why when the colonial masters came, they actually ruled through the traditional rulers, traditional institutions, because they know the worth of traditional institutions. And whoever that is asking for traditional institutions to have legislative backing, I believe they are backed legislatively now, because when a town gets a traditional ruler, they get staff of office. That is recognition by the government, from the government. And most of the traditional rulers are paid based on their classes. Like you said, emirs are being paid. We have first class traditional rulers. We have second class, we have third class. And they're getting all their money from the states and from the federal government. So I think that's enough. What is left is that traditional rulers should concentrate on their function. Do you know the major problem we have? Most of the traditional rulers are causing chaos in their community.
Yeah.
Because you know there's difference between traditional ruler and the president town union. The traditional, yes, traditional rulers are taking care in charge of the culture and tradition of the area community.
Yeah.
While the present town union is in charge of the administration of the community. But you see that the Igwes in my own side are trying to usurp the powers to decide for the community. They will take over the government, the administration of the community, and also the culture and tradition. So you see, it's because they don't want, they want to be what they are not meant to be. That's why they're calling for this. Whenever a president or a governor visits any community, he pays homage
to the traditional
institution.
Yeah.
And they are not supposed to be partisan. The problem is that most of them now are partisan. So when they are partisan, when they indulge openly in politics, supports a candidate, that's why when the other candidate wins, they will withdraw their license, they will withdraw their certificate and their staff of office. But an Igwe or an Emir are supposed to be neutral. Whoever that comes to your kingdom, you accept the person and pray for the person. And whoever God makes the winner, you walk with the person. So that's the problem they have. They are deviating from their calling, because I see that their work is a call from God.
All right, thank
Yes.
you. Thank you so much. Thank you for such wonderful contributions. We hope that we eventually get it right again. And now moving on to the ASU strike, the 2 weeks warning strike from ASU. We are aware that this is the 18th strike in 28 years, and the federal government is now threatening no work, no pay, which was a policy that was in place during the time of the former President Mohamed Buhari. He ensured that you don't work, you don't pay. And also there have been a directive from the federal government to the vice chancellors of various universities to enforce a no work, no pay policy. So we discovered that here in Nigeria we still find ourselves in the chaos of education. Some people have been in school for over 8 years for a course of 6 years, and been in school for 6 years for a course of 4 years because of these issues of ASU striking here and there. Exams are halted. Some are in final years, cannot also defend their final year project and just move on with life. And it's really troublesome and worrisome that a nation as Nigeria, claiming to be the giant of Africa, cannot even still put his educational system right in place. Mr. Oni,
Yes, please.
coming to you.
Yeah.
Would you say the step ASU has taken to strike are in line with probably their agreement with the federal government, or would you say that...
No, we know the truth. We know
Okay.
the truth. So let's not waste time on this.
Okay.
The whole matter deals more with the payment of the staff. That's just the welfare. Professors are paid very poorly. Go and check it. Professors don't earn so much. And it's sad that a professor will train, a professor of law will train a lawyer who turns to be a judge. And the judge earns more than he does. Trains an engineer, he goes to Chevron, he earns more than the professor does. So what is the value placed on these guys? Nothing. So they now did what they call the consolidated payment.
Yeah.
There are some payments that you are supposed to make to your lecturers in dollars for research, so that they can be able to procure things outside the country. But all those things were converted to naira and paid to them, and it's so meager. Then you come and take the tax from their salary. Some professors lose almost 100,000 in their salary for tax. So if the federal government is serious, they need to look into the payment of the staff. That's just the problem. There's no all these strikes. The federal government sat down with them. They had an agreement. They had a projection. The federal government said, oh, we're going to look into this. They set up a committee to look into it. They didn't hear from the committee again. So this is like saying, are you guys playing us smart, or you don't want to pay us? It's the money. Money is the problem here. There's nothing else. The welfare, and anytime you hear welfare in Nigeria, know there is money they are talking about. So the payment of these lecturers are not commensurate to what the present economy is giving. So that's why they are
also because of this, at some point these universities have also moved to be self-sustaining. and we discovered that the federal government kicked against that. So if we are to still look into making such universities national universities,
if you make those things self-sustaining, as you've mentioned, why the federal government is kicking against it is that it will make the price of education to go very high, which of course I am one person that says that education is not meant to be one kobo, so that you can place value on it. So, because what has happened in our society is that if you watch, almost anybody who is serious goes to school in Nigeria, because especially in federal universities and institutions, at the end of the day, people stay at home, reason being that they went to school. So they tell you they can't do any other job that is not befitting a graduate. That is part of the problem we have with unemployment. But imagine that some of these guys went into other businesses. Other handiwork businesses are dying off in our country today because everybody is running to school. And at the end of the day, the economy cannot absorb them. The labor, all these things cannot take these people. There are so many, it's overwhelming. Who will employ them? A university at times graduates more than 10,000.
Yes.
Calculate it. So at the end of the day, you have more than 500,000 people graduating every year. Who will employ 500,000 people? And the mindset of being a graduate has set in. They don't want to do any work. They don't want to do saloon work. They don't want to do barber work because they are graduates. So they want to wear suit and tie and sit in an air-conditioned office and earn salaries. And this is not our reality at the moment. So when you make the university self-sustaining, federal government knows that once that happens, school fees will not be anything less than 300,000-400,000. Check it out. To run the institution, who is going to pay? At the end of the day, you have more illiterates on the street, crime increases for lack of education, and we are back to zero.
Thank you so much. Mr. Obinna, we've heard what Mr. Oni just said. Considering the fact that, yes, these universities cannot either be self-sustaining because of the hike it will cost in education. So, therefore, they still have to be under the federal government. But yet, people go to school and spend too many years in school. Imagine you're supposed to study a course for 4 years, and 6 years, 7 years you are still in school because of the ASU strike. So what difference does it now make at the end of the day?
It's okay. I'm happy with what the federal government are doing to the ASU now. The work, no pay. I want it properly implemented. Yes. If any lecturer did not go to work, let him not be paid.
But they are angry because they are underpaid.
Lecturers, the professors, we have contributed to 99% of the sufferings of Nigeria.
Because of the political side.
When you go to election, the returning officers are professors.
True.
All of them are lecturers, vice chancellors,
cases, yes.
And they decide to sell their future with the mega thing they are giving at that particular time. And when they give it to that person, the person will now know that what he's doing is glaringly is not true. And he will declare, oh, I declare, Constitution has empowered him. That's where they get themselves. So that is good for them. If they want to get it right.
But not everyone is guilty of this.
I'm coming. See, all of them, 99% of them are guilty of that.
Hey, no.
The only person we've seen that stood out is the one of Abia State. You see, tell me any election that we had in Nigeria that is the true reflection of the masses' decision. We have not seen that in a very long time. So, first of all, ASU has to put their house in order. They have to, if they want to solve this problem, they will start from the scratch. Tell themselves the truth. If I go to be an election returning officer, I will say the truth. Then by saying the truth, you put in good government that will be honest, good government that will be upright. And when you have good government that will be upright, this issue will die.
But generally speaking, Mr. Obinna, do you not think Nigeria do not have priorities when it comes to education? Because some of these salaries or how would I put it now, that are being delayed for the lecturers are also being promised to legislative officers, and they receive theirs. Theirs are not being delayed. But when it comes to education, it is being delayed. So
everything boils down on what I just said. They are the ones that can change this country. They are the ones that can destroy the country. Where the country is today is where they kept it. If they have been upright right from time, they will not be in this mess. So this is what they prepared for themselves.
I don't.
The issue is that when you have a good government, an upright government, things will be done well. The problem is that from subsequent years, so many years before now, they had agreements and government refused to stand by it. Government refused to do it because government priority is not on education, it's not on the masses. Their priority is what they will get for themselves. Their priority is what they will get for their elites, for the people at their level. That is their priority. So that's why we and them that are in that position, because a lecturer, a professor earns nothing in Nigeria. That's why you have them going out of the country, just like medical doctors. They earn nothing. My father was a teacher, and I know how much he earned throughout his life. You understand?
Yes.
Teachers are actually neglected in Nigeria. But they have to help, they have to contribute for this thing to be right. Because I tell you, if we have been getting the right people, let me give you an instance. From 2015 till today, if you have been getting, I just use it as an example.
Yeah.
If you have been getting the right people to be at the helm of affairs, INEC boss is always a professor.
Yeah,
you understand?
yes.
And the person that will take over from this person might be a professor. If they come in and bring in a good reform and be upright, let me tell you, if you are doing right and you are the helm of affairs, your body language will make every other person that is dubious under you to be right, because he knows that you are not going to condone any evil. But if you are not, your body language is not speaking well, you can see that everything will get bad. The major problem we have in Nigeria that is causing all this ripple effect is bad electoral system.
All right, Mr. Onyi, do you have?
Yeah, I don't want to think that it is the duty of lecturers and professors to determine who rules and who doesn't rule. I always say that you don't know good governance until governance commences.
True.
You don't know who is going to be a good leader until the person gets to power.
True.
So many people are very good with sweet words during campaigns, but when they win, it happened to us in 2015. Youth came out and said if Buhari brings newspaper, NEPA bill as certificate, they will vote him.
Yes.
Everybody expected that the man was upright and honest until he came into power. We now remember that Jonathan was actually a good man. So it's not about who gets in, who handles who gets in. You don't even know who is going to be good until the person gets into power. So when you say it's the lecturers that put us in the problem, it's not all of them. I know more than 40 professors that have never gone for one election. The ones that go for elections are the vice chancellors and the ones elected. It's not everybody that is involved. The truth is that the pay of the lecturers today in Nigeria is nothing to write home about.
They will also agree with me that the people that have been leading our electoral system has been lecturers.
Oh yes.
Professors.
Yes.
But
we can get it right from there.
But
because when you have a good system
do you know
of
that
election management,
is wrong with Nigerians electoral process if you follow it to the letter.
You see, the
Check
people,
the last election.
the people that destroy it.
Imagine that we transmitted
directly from
from the Ivas
to Abuja.
Yeah. We won't be talking
And
about
who
these
stopped
stories.
it?
The same people on the street.
Who stopped it?
Politicians manipulated it.
No,
in
it's
their
not
various
politicians.
places. Who did?
It's not politicians. It's INEC that thwarted it, because
in most
if
cases-
the website or if the site could not work that day, the site was working for every other position, but the presidential was not working. It is actually INEC that thwarted it, and it is an in-house problem. That was the first time I heard about glitch. See, if the electoral body is upright in managing our electoral system, we know that our politicians are dubious. I'm a politician. You understand? We know that they are dubious. But when the electoral umpire is upright, you will see that, yes, there will be manipulations, but the percentage will not be as high as what we are getting today in Nigeria. And you know that when you start getting it right, gradually you will get to you get it right better tomorrow. So that is what we are talking about. When the problem is from the INEC itself, where do we go from there? An electoral officer will come to the field without result sheet. Who caused it? You understand? Is it not INEC that's supposed to give him materials to come for the election? That means the compromise starts from the inside.
All right, thank you so much for your thoughts on that. We really appreciate it. But the pain of it all is, it is still the masses, the children of Nigerians that are held back. Destinies are being delayed, plans are being frustrated, and in most cases, you don't fault your citizens when they decide to go to a nation where its educational system works. So this is just an appeal to the federal government to please put your house in order. Still speaking on ASU and the issues, now let's move a bit to the hike in cooking gas and also petrol. We discovered that in our trending stories, we saw also in the newspaper that 72.64% of Nigerians' petrol is being imported amid rivalry from new refineries, and it's worrisome to see that at this point majority of the petrol that we use in this country is being imported. And also there's this hike in cooking gas, which is also biting on everyone. You discover that it costs you so much to fuel your car, and also it's going to cost you so much to put food on the table. Mr. Obina, please, what is your take on this, considering that Dangote actually promised that with his new 4,000 trucks, that petrols are going to be reduced in Lagos and also in Abuja, but now NNPC increases price to 992 naira per litre, even after all that Dangote has promised to do for us Nigerians. What do you have to say about that?
You see, that's what we're talking about in Nigeria. There's no patriotism. All of us want our pockets. The people at the helm of affairs want it to continue to be like that. Dangote could not achieve it because of the interest. There are people that felt that they will stop eating. Like you see the war between him and Pengassin when he wanted his truck to move out. You see the war, and that is exactly what is stalling that process. So now, some powers that be in that on the other side, on the left side, believe that if Dangote starts that supply, they will stop importation. And it's through importation that they make their money. Yeah. They rip Nigerians off through importation. And also that is what is killing our economy, because the exchange to go and buy fuel in dollars is what is putting pressure on our naira. Any day we cut off the importation of fuel and petroleum products into Nigeria, naira will gain massively. That same day, you will see that naira will exchange to maybe 300 to 400 naira to a dollar. I tell you the truth. That is the simple truth, because the pressure will go, and when the pressure goes, the demand for dollar will reduce, and dollar will gradually fall on its where it's supposed to be. But because of the fact that they want it to be like that, that is why we are there. Dangote built a refinery that can service the whole of Africa. Yeah. You understand? He has the capacity to service the whole of Africa. Now, we have 3 refineries or 4 the federal government has built, and they have sunk in billions of dollars into the revamping of the refinery, more than the amount Dangote used to build his own refinery. And why are they raising eyebrows? If you want healthy competition, make our refineries to work. Yes. When our refineries work, there will be healthy competition. But it's no way you don't want our refineries to work, and somebody that is producing, you are sabotaging him. For example, Dangote, I buy Dangote fuel yesterday. If you go and buy fuel from MRS, you get Dangote fuel because they are direct link from Dangote. I bought 851, and our NNPC is telling us that they have increased to 992. Is that not appalling? Because they're importing fuel. Now, if you cannot import cheaper than complete, why not go and buy fuel from Dangote?
Get out of the business.
Get out of the business. So why will you continue to pressure Dangote and to the detriment of the masses, because you want to continue to rip us off?
Okay, Mr. Oni, what is your take on this? Because Dangote is saying that everyone is accusing him of wanting to monopolize the business.
Let those people set up their own.
If such claims continues, it is going to discourage his level of investment in our country, because right now we discovered that he is already building another refinery in an African country, I think, for fertilizer. So what's your take on that?
Well, all these things are just internal politics of some bourgeois who have been eating off this table. So you trying to move away the table, they will fight. But the most unfortunate thing that has happened to us is that the leaders who are supposed to protect the populace also are part of the bourgeois on the table. So in one way or the other, they are collaborating with what these guys are saying. It's a straightforward thing. Federal government followed doing Buhari to build that Aliko Dangote refinery. They gave him loans at a very, they helped him. Do you understand? The only thing is that probably the administration present, incumbent, do not want him. And that's why we're going through all these things. So you see that personal interest has overcome through administrative ideas in Nigeria. Personal interest has overcome the common good of everybody, but the very few. It's unfortunate that even Nigerians can't do much about it because we are helpless and hapless, which is also a plot by these politicians to keep us at bay so that we don't come close. They make things look like it's one big deal. There's no big deal in this. If all our refineries are working, fuel will not even be up to 700 naira.
Fuel won't be more than 300 naira.
Now, the reason is this. If our money circulates within our economy, nobody is needing to exchange into dollars to import all those long stories. If we are dealing in naira, things will come back to us because we own these things. We own the raw material, we own the manufacturing plant, we own the distribution chain. Our economy will do better, but they don't want. If the economy does better, they won't be that rich anymore.
Do you not feel there are like external influences? That
No,
there's no external
there's
influence.
nothing external.
Nigeria is not the only country in Africa. There's no external influence. If we want it to get it done in Nigeria, we'll get it done.
All right. Thank you so much for that. And we want to encourage you viewers that you can be a part of our conversation. But before we wrap up our conversations for today, we would want to look at the life of a God's general here in Nigeria whose death was announced yesterday, although he died on the 6th of October, but his information was brought to the knowledge of the masses on the 13th of October. He was born 7th of January 1945 in Asanga, Ahofia in Abia State. He lost his father when he was 10 years old. That childhood tragedy shaped much of his compassion for people who are poor, orphaned, and vulnerable. At age 13, he gave his life to Christ. That was the beginning of a journey that lasted over 6 decades in ministry. Education was a big part of his life. He attended primary and secondary schools in his home region, then pursued further studies abroad, including in the UK and USA. He held qualifications in electrical engineering practice, journalism, and divinity, including a doctorate in divinity. He founded the Umokpai Evangelistic Association UUEA, headquartered in Uyo, Akwa Ibom State. His ministry was non-denominational, and he was known for large crusades, healing outreaches, and preaching that crossed across denominational boundaries. He was one of the founding leaders of the Pentecostal Fellowship of Nigeria. The Greater Lagos of Christ Crusade in 1985 is often cited as a turning point in bringing many Pentecostal churches together in PFN. Beyond spiritual work, he had deep commitment to education and healthcare. He established the Umokpai School of Theology and Biblical Studies, Umokpai Polytechnic in Nasaga, and a scholarship foundation. He founded institutions like the Umokpai Eye Center and King of Kings Specialist Hospital, many of whose services included free or subsidized care for those who couldn't afford them. The Eye Center also introduced modern eye care technologies, especially in rural areas. One of the personal front, he was married to Pastor Philomena Umokpai in 1975. They had 8 biological children and adopted one. Sadly, they also endured the loss of 2 children in one car accident. Throughout his faith and ministry, he endured. His ministry of over 60 years touched millions of lives, not just through sermons, but through acts of service, helping the needy, promoting unity among Christians, offering platforms for leadership and growth, and addressing both spiritual and physical needs of people. Briefly, we want you to just take a brief look or a video of the person of Dr. Umar Okpai.
Onye nwe igwe, ana m ekele gị wo. Ọnụ m juru n'ekele. Ebe ikwere ndụ fọrọ m. Ọnụ m juru n'ekele. Osisi na-eche mba, ana m ekele gị wo. Ọnụ m juru n'ekele. Onye ọma na-eme mma, ebe imere ndụ fọrọ m. Ọnụ m juru n'ekele. Onye ọma na-eme mma, ana m ekele gị wo. Ọnụ m onye ọma na-agbọrọ ya, ebi mere ndụ fọrọ m. Ọnụ m juru n'ekele. Apata na-ekwu nwa, ana m ekele gị wo. Ọnụ m juru n'ekele. Onye ọma na-eme na, ebi mere ndụ fọrọ m. Ọnụ m juru n'ekele. Ikuku amaghị ọnya, ana m ekele gị wo. Ọnụ m juru n'ekele. Onye ọma na-eme na, ebi mere ndụ fọrọ m. Ọnụ m juru n'ekele. Ọnụ aka orumba, ana m ekele gị wo. Ọnụ m juru n'ekele. Onye ọma na-eme na, ebi mere ndụ fọrọ m. Ọnụ m juru n'ekele. Oke mmiri na-egbu ogbe, ana m ekele gị wo. Ọnụ m juru n'ekele. Onye ọma na-eme na, ebi mere ndụ fọrọ m. Ọnụ m juru n'ekele. Ekele gị wo. Ọnụ m juru. Onye ọma na-agbọrọ ya, ebi mere ndụ fọrọ m. Ọnụ m juru n'ekele. Oke mmiri na-egbu ogbe, ana m emere gị wo. Ọnụ m juru. Onye ọma na-eme na, ebi mere ndụ fọrọ m. Ọnụ m juru n'ekele.
I watched the testimony of Reverend Dr. Umar Okpai when they forced him, the assassination attempt to drink acid. And he interrupted them. They don't force me, give me the cup. Then he swallowed everything. All right? I heard his own personal testimony. And when he swallowed, he said, "Are you waiting for me to fall down and die?" I said, "This is Umar." He said, "Men like me don't die. We don't go like that." Say it again loud and clear. Men like me. Men like me. Don't die in a hurry.
Indeed, what a life that has shone light to many, so many things to talk about. While growing up as a child, I've been privileged to attend few of his crusades, and it's really been miraculous. It came as a shock to we Nigerians that a general has died, but I would want to leave it to those in the studio to briefly give a tribute of how well they might have known or encountered the person of Dr. Umar Okpai. I will begin from you, Mr. Oni.
I met Omar in Uyo when I was 22.
Wow.
Yeah, I was young then, very young. And I saw a man who had love for family. If you are coming for mass counseling, you are encouraged to come as a couple. At times he will send you back as a woman or as a man. Say, go and bring your wife or your husband. I saw a man who insisted. From Omar I learned that God answers the prayer of your wife for you more than he answers the prayer you say for yourself. I heard from him directly that he compulsorily will make his wife laugh 7 times a day. And I saw power in a man who understood the miraculous. He understood the idea that God had for man in creation. Omar understood dominion and authority. He also spoke much about humility. He also talked about being respectful. my very close activity around Omar. I learned a whole lot, and Omar will be greatly missed. His words still ring bells. Back then in the university, I had a friend who will mimic Omar for more than 30 minutes. Yes, Omar is indeed a great man, and we pray that God will raise generals like Omar in our own generation.
Amen.
Who will wholeheartedly pursue the work of God and speak truth to power. Omar was shunning presidents and governors. He spoke truth to power. Never afraid of any of them. Locally and internationally, he understood the power of God at work, and we are indeed grateful that people like us were able to watch Omar's ministry in our lifetime, and maybe came close to him 1 or 2 times personally, and forever we are grateful to God.
All right, Mr. Obina, what do you have to say about the lost general we lost yesterday?
That is one of the men of God. I see consistency in them. Started hearing about Omar right from when I know I can understand things around me, and up to that time till today, he has been consistent. He never changed. He's a man of God that if he wanted to set up a functional church per se, that is our buildings where people congregate, he will most probably have the greatest number of congregations in Nigeria and outside and beyond. But he understood himself and the way God called him. He understood that he is not meant to set up churches, rather to touch lives all over the world.
True.
That's why, just like Rehad Bonke, Omar Obai will be forever remembered. Because he impacted the lives of almost every Christian in the world, unless you don't want him to impact you. Because he took out time to travel every part of this world to spread the gospel. In him, I saw a disciple of Christ. He's a true disciple of Christ. He didn't own a private jet. Yes, he didn't own a private jet, and I know he did not build a mansion for himself. He just lived that quiet life, but devoted every part of his life to serving God. Look at the things he established, the things that will help humanity. So even as he has passed on now, all those things will still be there to remember Omar by. And I pray that God will raise another general in this generation that will still help us to know that actually there are still men of God that hears from God.
All right, so in that same way, just give us your last word for our viewers on the show this morning.
My prayer is that things will change in Nigeria. We have lost Omar by, yes, but I pray that his prayers will not depart us, will not depart Nigeria, because he continually prayed for us, prayed for our nation, prayed for our leaders, and his wish and his aspiration is that Nigeria will be great. And that is my prayer. Nigeria will be great. I pray that we don't turn to be like Madagascar. That is what is happening in Madagascar today. I pray we don't get to that level. That God will see us through. But that will happen when me and you decide to take our destiny in our hands.
All right, Mr. Onyi, please, your last words.
I just want to wish that we all have peace, and at least for the first time, let's let the death of Omar help touch the Christian leaders, the Christians who are in position to know that if Omar can die, any of them can die. So they should just do the good work they've been elected to do. And will be, at least from that angle, we can commence.
All right, thank you so much. And speaking on the death of the God's general, I've been privileged to listen to him and be part of some of his crusades. And I remember one of the stories he told, that he only had one shoe, and he just had to believe and trust God for a change. But right now, if you should ask him the numbers of shoes that he has, he can't count, because it's more or less like every day someone just knocks on his door and drops a pair of shoes for him, and not common shoes. There are some certain shoes he owns that he is the only one that owns them in the world, just for one person. So he was really a man of God. And just like Mr. Obina said, we never heard of Umar purchasing a private jet or trying to acquire wealth for himself. He strictly devoted himself to the work of God. And he is one person that doesn't shout. But the moment he starts singing those 1, 2, 3 songs that we all know him about, the miraculous starts happening. Lives are changing. People on the wheelchairs are getting up. And it's a call to we, the Christians, that there is more in God. There is more we can actually achieve. We have lost the likes of Benson Idahosa that spoke truth to power. And also now a God's general at the age of 80 has also gone to be with the Lord. What is the fate of the Christianity of our generation? This morning reminds us that life is both fleeting and powerful. We lost a general of faith, Reverend Dr. Umokpai, a man whose voice stirred nations and whose hands healed thousands. His life teaches us that real greatness is found in service and not status. And while we honor his legacy, we face the reality of our classrooms that have gone quiet again under the ASU strike. Nigerians must choose to value education not just in words but in action. As we go, let's live with purpose, love with courage, and keep faith alive. Because legacies like Dr. Omopai reminds us you can't kill light. It always finds a way to shine. Thank you for being a part of our show this morning. Thank you, Mr. Obina. Thank you, Mr. Oni. Until we come your way next time, please be safe.